Hi everyone, Dr. Beena here. Today's topic is vitreous humor. What are the functions of vitreous? It screens out the ultraviolet and infrared light and provides a clear media for optical transmission and protects the retina. So you can see here the vitreous anatomy. It is largely an acellular connective tissue structure of mass 3.9 grams, approximately 99% of water and 1% solid. Solid itself 0.9% salts, 0.08% protein and 0.02% mucopolysaccharides. It occupies 60% of the globe and refractive index is equivalent to the aqueous, that is 1.334. Some cells located on the anterior portion of the vitreous near the ciliary epithelium. Now, what are the attachments of vitreous? Anteriorly, Vegas hyaloideo-capsular ligament, and second is the ora serrata, anterior vitreous base. So, anteriorly, the attachments are Vegas hyaloideo-capsular ligaments and the ora serrata, which is the anterior vitreous base. Posteriorly, optic nerve head, that is posterior vitreous base, and the second one is the blood vessels of the retina and the macula. The cells of vitreous, there are few cells only, that is a hyalocyte. Hyalocytes possibly originates from the monocyte, thus not an intrinsic to the vitreous. So it is originated from the monocytes. Located in the anterior cortical vitreous near the ciliary body. The cellular part is seen only in the anterior cortical vitreous near the ciliary body. Only known function is to produce the hyaluronic acid. The function of hyalucyte is to produce the hyaluronic acid. Now we'll pass on to the biochemistry of vitreous. What are the composition of vitreous? One is vitreous body and the other is vitreous humor. And the third one is the collagen, which gives vitreous its substance, and the sodium hyaluronate provides the viscoelasticity. So there are three main components: vitreous body, vitreous humor, and the collagen, which give the vitreous its substance, and the sodium hyaluronate provides the viscoelasticity. Second is the human vitreous is typically a gel. It composed of randomly arranged collagen fibers and soluble hyaluronic acid, sodium hyaluronate. So the human vitreous is just like a gel, and it is composed of randomly arranged collagen fibers and the soluble hyaluronic acid, that is hyaluronic acid is present as sodium hyaluronate. Then collagen. The protein of vitreous is called vitrosin, determined to be a collagen for several reasons. That is, it has an amino acid hydroxyproline, which is specific to collagen. Collagen contains hydroxyproline, so that is why the vitrosin is considered to be it is determined to be a collagen. Then it has a shrinkage temperature of 60 to 65 degree centigrade, the same as that of collagen. So similar to collagen, it has got a shrinkage temperature of 60 to 65. So it is considered as a type of collagen and has an same X-ray diffraction properties as collagen. So it has the same X-ray properties of that of collagen. That is why this protein of vitreous is called the vitrosin, which is considered as a collagen. The collagen content of the vitreous is highest where it is a gel and at the vitreous cortex. So at the vitreous cortex, collagen content of the vitreous is highest. There are species difference in the collagen content. Higher the collagen content, the higher the viscosity of the vitreous. So depending upon the species, there will be difference in the collagen content also. Higher the collagen content, higher the viscosity of the vitreous. The sodium hyaluronate, a repeating chain of disaccharide units made up of N-acetyl D-glucosamine and the D-glucuronic acid, is the sodium hyaluronate, which is present in the vitreous. Hydrophilic in nature, controls the viscosity of the vitreous, and the liquid portion of the vitreous increases with the age. and turnover rate is 0.45 micrograms per day. So these sodium hyaluronate is hydrophilic in nature, controls the viscosity of the vitreous, and the liquid portion of the vitreous increases usually with age, and it has got a turnover rate of 0.45 micrograms per day. So this is the structure. This is the structure of the now biochemistry of the vitreous, normal ionic composition. The vitreous, except for collagen and sodium hyaluronate, is very similar to the aqueous humor. So the rest of the part is very similar to that of aqueous. That is one, oxygen. The oxygen in the vitreous comes from the arteries of the retina. Here we are getting the oxygen from the arteries of the retina. Then water. The water in the vitreous is exchanged about every 30 minutes. So the water in the vitreous is always exchanged about every 30 minutes. Water movement is of 85 millimeter cube per minute. So the movement is 85 millimeter cube per minute. Then the sodium. Sodium enters anteriorly from the ciliary body and the posterior chamber. 90% of the sodium in the vitreous is exchanged in 24 hours, mainly flows to the aqueous, demonstrated with the intravitreal injection of hot sodium. So the sodium is usually 90% of the sodium in the vitreous is exchanged every 24 per day. It is 90% of the sodium is exchanged. That flow is from the aqueous. Flow is mainly to the aqueous. So from the vitreous to the aqueous, that is demonstrated usually by the intravitreal injection of the hot sodium. Then next one is the potassium, which enters by active transport through the ciliary epithelium into the posterior chamber. So potassium enters to the posterior chamber by the active transport through the ciliary epithelium. It diffuses into the vitreous from the lens and the posterior chamber. So again, potassium diffuses into the vitreous from the lens and the posterior chamber. It exits through the retina. So from the it exits to outside through the retina. Next is the chloride. There is a gradient of chloride from the vitreous to the aqueous. So there is a gradient between the vitreous and the aqueous. Chloride move via the retina and the posterior chamber. Chloride is removed via the retina and the posterior chamber. So chloride is removed from the vitreous by the retina and the posterior chamber. Now the phosphate enters the vitreous via the ciliary body. Low concentration in the vitreous because is used by the retina. So phosphate is in low concentration in the vitreous because it is used by the retina. If retina is damaged, concentration of phosphate goes up in the vitreous. Naturally, the concentration will increase if the retina is got damaged. The next is glucose. Glucose diffuses into the vitreous from all tissues, principally the retina. So glucose enters the vitreous from all tissues around and then especially from the retina. Due to the viscosity of vitreous, diffusion into the vitreous is slower than to the aqueous. So due to the viscosity of the vitreous, diffusion into the vitreous is slower than that is occurring into the aqueous. Vitreous viscosity of the vitreous is very high, that is why it is happening. Then the protein. The blood-vitreal barrier blocks the movement of the most of the protein into the vitreous. So the protein content is less because it is blood-vitreal barrier will block the movement of protein from to the vitreous. Then fluorescein. Intravitreal injection demonstrates that the blood-vitreal barrier is 27 to 38 times more permeable in the outward direction than the inward direction for fluorescein. So that is demonstrated by intravitreal injection. and the barrier is 27 to 38 times more permeable in the outward direction than towards the inside. Now, antibiotics. Most antibiotics do not have a good penetration into the vitreous. So, usually antibiotics will not be entering to the vitreous. Additionally, when they are injected into the vitreous, they are readily removed by the carrier mechanism. If they are somehow injected into the vitreous, then they may be removed easily by the carrier mechanism. Active pump to remove this substance in retinal vessels and RPE and also in the ciliary epithelium. The lipid-soluble substance have high permeability and the mechanical barrier is vitreous meshwork. Blood aqueous barrier, again mechanical barrier, vascular endothelium, RPE and ciliary body epithelium. Now the metabolism, we have to study the metabolism of vitreous. Only the hyalurocytes exhibit metabolic activity, principally the production of sodium hyaluronate. If all the hyaluronate is removed within the intravitreal injection of hyaluronidase, it will be totally removed in 6 weeks. So only the hyalurocytes exhibit some metabolic activity in the vitreous because that is the only cells. Principally the production of sodium hyaluronate, that is mainly the production of the sodium hyaluronate is the part occurring, and if all the hyaluronate is removed within an intravitreal injection of hyaluronidase, it will be totally removed by 6 weeks. So if you are injecting hyaluronidase intravitreally, they will be removed within the 6 weeks. Pathology and the age-related changes occurring in the vitreous. Age changes are syneresis, the term is syneresis, and a breakdown of the vitreous gel, fluid-filled cavities form, and then 65% of those over the age of 60 have syneresis. So usually syneresis develop in the patient having more than 60 age, and for them about 65% person over the age of 60 may develop syneresis or the breakdown of the vitreous gel. Higher incidence is seen in myopes. Results in the fluid-filled cavities enlarging and a possibility of the vitreous detaching from the cornea. So there will be a fluid-filled cavities enlarging in the vitreous, and the possibility of vitreous detaching from the cornea is also very high. With the detachment of the patient's report, flashing lights and floaters are seen. So when there is vitreal detachment from the retina, the patient may complain of flashing lights or floaters. They will say that something is flowing in front of their eye vision. So more prone to develop retinal detachment. Suppose there is vitreal detachment, these people are more prone for the retinal detachment also. Asteroid hyalosis. Hundreds of small spheres of calcium soaps are seen in the vitreous. So that is something different than the syneresis. Here hundreds of small spheres of calcium soaps are seen in the vitreous. They are attached to the fibers of the vitreous, so they move when the eye moves, but always return to the same position. So when you are asked to move the eye, they will move to that side and suddenly they will return to the original side. Not associated with any systemic condition. This is not very serious. This is not associated with any systemic condition also. So here you can see asteroid hyalosis is small multiple this thing. More common in the elderly. It is seen mostly in elderly people. No clinical significance, does not affect vision, and 3 times more likely to be unilateral than the bilateral. So it is 3 times more likely to be unilateral. It is seen only on one side of the eye, one eye, not in the bilateral case. So they complained only in one eye usually. Another thing here you can see lower worm infestation. This is another condition. Then next is the vitreous inflammation, or it is also known as endophthalmitis. Painful condition associated with photophobia, redness and the edema of the conjunctiva and lids. You know what is photophobia, no? Can't look at the light, so it will be very painful. So if there is infection, that is endophthalmitis, painful condition associated with photophobia, redness, edema of the conjunctiva and lids. It is a rare condition, usually caused by the penetrating injury that introduces Bacillus subtilis. So whenever there is a piercing injury that is penetrated by anything sharp object or by accident or some glass piece entering the eyeball, then infection may be introduced into the vitreous, that's mainly Bacillus subtilis found in the soil, into the vitreous. So the infection usually destroys the eye even with the administration of antibiotic. Even if you are applying antibiotic immediately after the injury, sometimes infection may persist and produces endophthalmitis. Then the secondary inflammations occurs. The majority of the vitreal inflammations are secondary to the inflammations of the choroid or retina. So whenever there is infection of the choroid or retina, secondary inflammation can occur to the vitreous also. Result in white blood cells in the vitreous that can cause blurring of the retina and decreases the vision. So they results in the white blood cells in the vitreous. So when there is more cells in the vitreous, that cause blurring of the retina and decreases the vision. So generally resolves when the primary infection is treated. So we already said that it is secondary inflammation due to infection in the retina or choroid. So when the treatment with the antibiotic treatment, if the infection is controlled in the retina or choroid, naturally the inflammation in the vitreous also will be subsiding. If vitreous does not clear, may need to perform vitrectomy. So if it is not cleared by the antibiotic, then sometimes surgery may be required, vitrectomy. The third one is the hemorrhage. Can be minimal or entire vitreous can be full. Sometimes small hemorrhage can occur in the vitreous, or sometimes entire vitreous can be filled with blood. Can result from trauma, sometimes with diabetes where the microvascular vessels ruptures and all, high BP or blood dyscrasias like leukemia. So these are the important conditions where hemorrhages occurs into the vitreous. The treatment depends on the primary cause of the hemorrhage. So here, depending upon the primary cause like trauma, or if it is diabetes, we have to control diabetes and treat the diabetes. Hypertension also, there will be rupturing of vessels, so we have to treat the hypertension. And blood dyscrasia, leukemia, the treatment has to be done. So this treatment depends upon the primary cause of the hemorrhage. It may just follow or may need vitrectomy. Sometimes it may end with vitrectomy. If the hemorrhage is not controlled, then we have to do vitrectomy. So that finishes the vitreous. Thank you.